Yeah, hi everyone and welcome to my latest video. This one's just a short guide on fitting the basics of surface mount devices. So basically I'm going to be going through 1206s, capacitors, resistors, sort of 805 size, 603 right down to the 0402s. I'm then going to be fitting an SO8 IC, got a voltage regulator, I've got a SOT 23 there and a couple of LEDs below it. And I'm going to finish the video with this 100 pin quad flat pack, which yeah, I'll show that right at the end in sort of quite fine detail. So yeah, what you need really, a couple of fine pairs of tweezers. I used two different types of solder through it, different sizes, I'll mention them. And yeah, I'll show everything step by step, so it should be pretty clear. So what I'll do, I'll get straight on fitting the 0805s, and hopefully you'll sort of learn something from it, and yeah, hopefully enjoy it. I've come to the sort of fitting the first components for the video. All I'm going to do on this, I'm just going to fit an 0805 resistors and capacitors to these two positions. So you've got C50 and R82. This is the way I like to do it. I know some people basically they like to put a blob on one end and then sort of attach the components to that blob and then redo the other end. This is why I like to do it. So literally I put a little bit of flux on the pads. So you can't really do this without the flux. And I'll drop the components into position. So you've got your capacitor and your resistor. And then what I like to do, I literally like to just tack one end on, because I think this way you get a sort of better feel for how much solder you need. So you're looking for sort of a joint that's sort of curved from the top to bottom like a ski slope. Yeah, so literally I tack them into position, so they're nice and central to the pads. And all I do then, I go to the other end and just solder that properly. So you're looking for a nice curved joint top to bottom. Same with this one. And then I can go to the first end and revisit that and do it sort of properly, same as the other end. So that's what you're looking for, a nice sort of curved joint. I'll quickly clean these up so you can sort of see how they are. But yeah, if you can get these joints sort of nice and sort of uniform and sort of nice amount of solder, this will enable you to do the harder components in the future. So I've got sort of a nice sort of curved joint going down, same there. So you've got four nice joints, nice and central components. Like I say, if you can get these joints not bulbous, it really help you when you sort of get to the smaller 0402s and your fine pitch ICs. So what I do, as always, I'll put photos of these up at the end. But what I do now, I'll move on sort of to other components for the video, and yeah, we'll go from there. So now we move on to some SOT 23 diodes. Basically, I'm going to fit a Z4 and a Z5 in position there. This is literally done the same way as I've done the resistors beforehand and the capacitor. All I do, a little bit of flux again. So it's pretty vital, the flux, and all I do, lift the component into position. Again, I don't sort of blob one pad like say some other people do, but this is just the way I like to do it. So I'll get a little bit on my iron, and I normally tack the bottom sort of right hand corner of these ones. Just put a tiny amount on there, just to hold it into position. Same with that one. So I've got a nice amount on the corners, and all I do then, just get a fresh bit of flux just to sort of aid it all when you're sort of doing it properly. And then I can go to the other end first. I normally just do this one first. And what you're looking for, you don't want too much on these. You can even see the outline of the leg, and that's fine. So if you can get these nice, that will really help you in the future on the fine pitch stuff like I said earlier. I'm using lead-free solder, that's why the joints are a little bit sort of duller than normal. Yeah, if they're really shiny joints, it tends to be where people are using leaded solder. So what I do, just give them a quick clean and you'll sort of see the amount I've got on there. But yeah, like I say, if you can get all these sort of nice and sort of uniform, not too much solder, it will really help you in the future. So as you see, I've got a nice amount, sort of 4 pads at the front, the back 2 are the same. And that's basically how I fit my SOT 23s. So what I'll do now, I'll move on to some other components, and I'll show you how I do them. Right, so I'm quickly going to show you how I do my sort of LED diodes. So basically, same again, put a little bit of flux on the pads, and I'll just lift over the components. As you can see, there's a silkscreen dot to this end of the diode. Now normally that denotes the cathode, which is on this particular component is the green band, because I've sort of looked at the data sheet. But yeah, some designers have sort of decided to make that the anode, so it's well worth getting a sort of data sheet up to make sure you're fitting it the right way around. And I do these exactly the same as I do my 0805 resistors and caps as sort of earlier in the video. So I just put a little bit of, just tin them both ends slightly to tack it on. Just don't need a lot really on there. And we do then sort of visit the other end and do that properly. Similar amount to earlier. So you're looking for that nice sort of curved joint. So you don't want too much on these. Same that end. You've just got to watch the potted body on the top for these particular components. So I'll give that a quick clean. And what I tend to do after, I tend to light them up just to sort of make sure I've got the right polarity. So as always, I'll clean these up and sort of put photos up at the end. Just get a little bit of flux off. So what I do now, just light these up just to prove I've got them around the right way. So as you can see, that matches the dot, and that one as well, so they're around the right way. So what I do now, move on to something else. Right, we come on now to an SO8 IC, so I'm going to basically fit U3. Now I've changed the camera angle for this, so you're going to get a really clear view of the joints at the front. So basically what I'm going to do, as always, a little bit of flux on all 8 pads. So I've made the camera angle a little bit different, so you'll get a real clear view of the front 4 pins. So what I do, all I do here, same again, I do literally tack any sort of 2 pads on, one on each side. I do one there and one there. So check your polarity, make sure that's correct, because you wouldn't believe how many times I've seen people, even myself, have done that. So now just go around the front 4. You're not looking for too much, you just want it to run along the joint and around the back of the heel. So there's a little bit coming out the back, same there. So you don't want too much on them, you just want a nice fillet, sort of a little bit of sloping at the front, and so it runs along around the back. So yeah, literally I've got a nice sort of joint, as you can see, I've got a nice little joint around the front, sort of down there, nice amount. You don't want too much. And I've got a similar around the back, which obviously I'll take photos after and clean it up, and so you'll see all them as well. So that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for loads of solder, because when you get to the fine pitch stuff, this is just, this will really help you. So all I do, I'll give it a quick clean, and then I'll put photos up at the end. But say that completes the SO8. So what I do, I'll move on to something else. Right, so following on from the SO8 IC that I did, which was rather a large component, I'm now going right the other way down to the 402 size resistor. So again, all I do, add my flux over all the pads. Then what I do, basically tack that into position with the tiny amount. So these are really small, so hopefully they're staying to focus so you can sort of gauge what I'm doing. I literally put a tiny amount on both. Just getting really central. So these are generally the smallest resistors you'll probably have to deal with. We do 201 sizes, but they're basically not used that too much. So this is the most common small size. So what I do then, go to the other end, and as with all my 2-sided components, just add a tiny amount to the other end. That's all you need. I'll show you these photos after, so you get a clear idea of what these finish up like. So it might be quite hard from the camera angle, so please bear with me. So that's all you need. I've got a tiny amount there. I'll give them a quick clean up, so hopefully you'll see sort of better idea of what they look like. Just give them a quick clean. So yeah, almost sort of double-sided resistors, caps, sort of any sort of tants. Always do my 2-sided, 2-ended components the same way. Just add a little bit to one, do the other properly. So as you can see, I've got a nice curved joint, sort of going top to bottom. It's the same the other end. Like I say, I'll put some photos up after. So that's what you're looking for on the 0402s. So what I'll do, I'll put a few photos up with the ones we've sort of shown so far, and then I'll put a few more videos up after them. Right, we're going to start this second section of videos with quite a large voltage regulator. Obviously a lot larger than the 0402 before the photos. So what I've done, if you get anything like this, you can see on this one here, this one's actually connected sort of to the plane all around it, and that's going to make that difficult to solder, because when I see people soldering these, they just get generally a bit run right up the end, but it don't really spread across the pad. So what I've done on this one, this isn't joined to the plane, but this is just, if you're struggling, this is what you want to do. I've literally tinned this with solder already and wicked it all off, so I've got it nice and flat. And so when you solder the end, it will sort of more easily spread under the body and join the pad underneath. So that's a good tip, basically. If you're struggling to get the solder to go beyond sort of the end, tin it first, wick it off, and obviously it'll make it look a lot easier. So what I do now, I put the component on and I'll show you how I solder it up. We come on to the first end of the regulator. So what I do, as always, a little bit of flux. So what I do, I slide the component into position, and then I sort of get these two generally soldered up. The middle one on this component, middle leg, isn't actually used, so you will find some of these do have the middle pin missing. So what I can do, hopefully it'll stay in focus, because I've got to change my iron bit for this. I've got rather a large one to help with basically aid with the other end. So I can do, get that central, and then solder these up properly. So hopefully the focus will stay in. Hopefully you'll see the amount I've got on these. You just want it to run round the sides, round the hill. So you've got quite a nice amount sort of going up the sides, right round to the back of the hill. So that's basically the first end. So what I do now, just turn it round, and I can solder up the other end. So as you can see, you don't get a lot of room on these components at the end. That's why if you pre-tin them, like I did a minute ago, it really aids you. So again, a little bit of flux. So when you get a ground plane on these components, you might need quite a large tip. So I've actually got a large tip with a flat side on it. So what I can then do, just turn around a little bit more, so stand on its side, and when this takes, it'll go really nice. It just takes quite a little while to go. Right, I know, because it's already tinned, that's going to run really nicely underneath. Just literally, that's all I've got to do. As you can see, you've got a lovely joint right around the bottom. It's gone really well right the way along, spread underneath because it was already tinned. So that's basically what you're looking for in your regulators. So yeah, if you're struggling, like I say, pre-tin it, and that will really aid you. So what I do, now I'm just going to move on to a few components that I've already put onto the board, but they're just more examples of double-ended components, just to see you know, what the joints look like. Alright, so following on from the voltage regulator, all I've done here, I've literally already sort of soldered these on properly, just to show you sort of what the joints should look like. So yeah, these are basically 603 caps down there. So as always, like you can see, the curved joint going top to bottom. The same the other end. There you got a couple of sort of 805 resistors, same again. There's a big cap, 1206 cap up there. There's a large tant up there. As you can see, all the joints are sort of generally the same sort of shape. All I do, exactly the same, all my two-ended components I do all the same way as in previous videos, no matter what the size. So there, that's generally how I do them. So yeah, you know, it's a good method, and like I said, I don't sort of tin or pre-blob the pads like some people do, but it's like everyone's got their own preference, but this is just the way I like it to, you know, to get a nice joint. So yeah, what I do now, I'll move on from this. Lastly, I'll show you the quad flat pack 100 pin, and yeah, after that I'll put a few photos up, and hope you enjoy it. Right, so this is where we finally come on to the last component I'm going to fit for these videos. This is a 100 pin QFN or quad flat pack. Basically what you do first, basically put it on your pads and line it all up. I've already tacked a pin around the back side in this corner. So what I do, I tack a pin on the other side, the opposite side, and then I'll show you how I sort of do the joints. So basically all I do, run a bead of solder, bead of flux around that side. Just put a little bit on your iron. You just want to tack one corner on the opposite side to the one I just did a minute ago. So what I do, just tack any sort of pin on this one. So let's tack that into position. Then I can just literally run down the joints with my solder. I don't drag solder like some people. I do individual pins. So what I do, hopefully you can get a sort of picture of what I'm doing. It's quite hard for the camera angle. I can sort of just go along, nice and simple, just feeding a little bit in all the time, doing maybe 1 or 2 pins at a time, and that's that side all soldered up. Got a nice little fillet on every joint, so it's running around the back, and that's as simple, you know, as it can be really. I don't like to drag solder because I'm always a bit worried about the pins. So what I do, I'll turn it around, I'll do a different camera angle for the second side, and hopefully it go alright. Right, so come on to the second side. So what I've done, I've changed the camera angle, so hopefully you can get a sort of clear view of what I'm doing. So again, run a little bit of flux along the whole side, and all I do again is literally get my iron and do 1 pin at a time, in and out, in and out, in and out. So if you catch 2 pins at a time, not a problem. I'm getting a nice little sort of bead of solder right around sort of both sides of the joint, down round to the back, round to the heel, and that's literally how I do sort of, you know, basically how I do the second side. It's yeah, it's a good option. This, I say I like to do the pins individually. So you know, if people like to drag solder, that's good, that's fine. But at the end of the day, everyone sort of gets their preference. This is just literally the way I like to do it. Right, so it's now onto the third side. So again, just run a little bit of flux all down the side, and then say do the same as the first 2 sides. Just do each pin individually. I've already tacked the corner on this one. So that's all I do, go in and out, in and out, in and out. It's not a lot longer than drag soldering, it's just, you know, I personally find it a little bit safer. So there you go, it's that simple. Right, so finally, we do the fourth side. So again, a little bit of flux. The flux is really important with soldering. You must really use it. It just aids the soldering so much. So again, same again, in and out. It's just, you know, this is just a good safe method for everyone really. You get the odd little short, but you can easily remove it. That's it. That's all 4 sides done. So what I'll do now, I'll clean it all up and put some photos up. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed all them videos. And if you did, you know, please sort of like and subscribe. And I'll see you again soon. Yeah, hi. So yeah, basically, just wanted to record this little bit of extra video for this last IC placement I did. Yeah, right at the start of the video, I think I said it was called a QFN. It's actually a QFP. Ends like no leads, and this one's obviously got leads. So this is actually a QFP. So I just thought I'd sort of correct it, save everyone messaging in. There's just a couple of other little points I should have really said. Basically, if you can get yourself some 0.25mm solder, that will really aid you when you're fitting these. It's available from a company I use called BLT Circuits. It's based in England. And also one other thing that is really helpful for this is sort of basically get yourself a small conical tip for your iron. That's what I use. Basically, you struggle with a big tip doing pin by pin, so that's basically another good tip. Just get a conical one, and yeah, you'll find it a lot easier. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the last video, and yeah, if you did, it'd be great if you could like and subscribe. And like I said earlier, I'll see you all again soon. Thanks a lot.